Good day, Philippines!
Madayaw na adlaw, Davao City. Today is Monday, 29th of December, 2025.
I am Chris Gunato,
And I am Nova Fuentes,
bringing you stories that matter
from every corner of our city and beyond.
From inspiring community initiatives
To the latest updates on local events and happenings that touch our daily lives.
stay with us as we dive into the stories shaping Mindanao.
In classroom across the Philippines, the language of instruction isn't always the language of home. Students are expected to follow lessons in English and Filipino. Yet, many speak indigenous languages, which help them understand lessons more easily. At Dato Abdul Elementary School in Davao City, this gap between curriculum and reality is a daily challenge for both students trying to learn and teachers working to make sure no one falls behind. For more details, here's Ashley Jane Inso.
In classroom across the Philippines, English and Filipino serve as the primary languages of instruction. They are the languages of textbooks, examinations, and official policy. Yet, for many learners, these are not their first languages, or the ones they fully understand. For children who grow up speaking a different language at home, learning often begins with translation, adjusting not only to new lessons, but to a new way of expressing themselves. Nowhere is this reality more visible than in Mindanao, a region widely recognized for its cultural and linguistic diversity. Often referred to as the melting pot of the South, Mindanao is home to numerous indigenous peoples, each with their own language and identity. For years, this diversity was addressed through the Department of Education's Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education, or MTB-MLE, which used the learner's first language during the early years of schooling. But in late 2024, a major policy shift took place. Under Republic Act No. 12027, MTB-MLE as a separate subject was removed from the curriculum. The focus shifted towards strengthening literacy and numeracy using Filipino and English, while regional languages were retained only as supplementary tools. On paper, the policy streamlines instruction. But in classrooms where students speak multiple languages, teachers face a very different reality. To see how this plays out in practice, our team visited Dato Abdul Elementary School in Davao City, where multilingual education continues to shape the way lessons are taught every day. Here, we met Ashea. She speaks Kalagan at home, but in class, she has to switch to English and Filipino. She tells us how this shift affects the way she learns and sometimes how it makes her nervous.
Yung pangalan ko kay Ashia Ardiles. Yung edad ko kay 10 years old. Grade 5 na ako. Nag-eskwela ako sa Dato Abdul Elementary School.
For students like Ashea, language isn't just about comprehension. It also affects confidence, participation, and how comfortable they feel expressing themselves in the classroom.
Kung sa'y mga kuan, pag kanang naay mga panghitabo nga, dili ka makasabot kay in English siya or Tagalog, di ka makasabot. Kung sa'y mga mabati nimo nga, unta, gi kalagan na lang, anak.
Kinukulbaan.
Ha?
Kinukulbaan.
Makulbaan ka. Pag dili ka kasabot. So, sa imo hagyod, gusto nimo nga kalagan na lang, unta.
Gusto ko kalagan digit permente ang pag-istorya na Mrs. Pilar para makasabot ako dayon.
And this is where teachers step in. We spoke with Mom Melanie, an MTB-MLE teacher, who explained that even though regional languages are no longer formal subjects, they remain essential tools in the classroom.
So, I'm Melanie Escano, teacher 2 in Dato Abdul Elementary School that I'm currently teaching as a grade 3 advisor. So, I teach all subject and grade 3, 6 subject po. Okay. Kung dako kayo bitabang no, kaya no, ang among subject, since ang MTB is the kuan man nila first language sa ilahang balay nga natun-an. So ang akong grade 1 before na ay Muslim, na ay Bisaya. So maggamit jud ko siya MTB para makasabot kay ang mga subject Bisaya gyud tanan, walay English. Magkuan na mig English third quarter. So gamit kay ang MTB kay dali ra kay makakomprehend ang bata. Makasabot sila sa picture. Anya, kuan na ba kanang ano na kay sila sa language nga ilang kuan kay mao man ang ilang ginagamit sa balay. And also sa Muslim, naga-Muslim ko grade 1 ko, Kalagan. So, kay dili makaikil sila kasabot sa ato ang language nga binisaya sa Davao. So, kabalo mo ko gamay Kalagan. So, nag-use pud ko og language sa bata. Kay mao man gud among training. Kung basta ang language sa bata, mo po tayo i-use sa classroom kung kaya nimo. Pero kung dili kaya, mo proceed ka dito sa another language which is Tagalog kung masabtan nila. No, mao man ang ilang pinulungan sa balay. So permi lang gyud nila gamito niya. Dili po na mo i-change nimo nagbinisaya imong inistoryan dili man pwede. So kay mao man ang ilahang kultura, so dapat i-accept, i-learn nimo. So si teacher ang mag-adjust. Mo na nga ako kalag 10 years ka, balon ko kalagan. Gamay ra po, makasabot ko sa ilaha.
As educators, they often have to make adjustments to ensure students can understand lessons, especially when teaching materials are in languages the children do not speak.
Ayan sa pa ng mga word gani nga dili ato ang Davao language kay kasagaran sa learner material sa mga bata. Ang naa dito nga words is kanang Cebuano, sinubuan ng Cebuano nga word nga laglong kaayo. Pero sa training among naibalan nga dili na mo to sundon. Since nasabta na mo to ang Cebuano nga pinulungan, amo siyang i-translate na po sa ato nga pinulungan nga para masabtan sa bata og dali. Before sa grade 1, third grading lang yun na siya matudlo na mo ang English. First grading and second grading is lunlun yun mo siya MTB. Then pagka third quarter na si English. Pero si English, dili po mi nga ingon nga biglaon ang bata o gano'n. Mugamit gyapon mo dito bridging na si English. Translate to Tagalog, then paubos na po ni Binisaya. Para at least tulo ka language ang may balan sa bata. Nana sila in English, baba sa Tagalog, then Binisaya. So katong sa Binisaya namo first to second quarter, magtudlo mig Binisaya, balay, i-bridge na mo Tagalog bahay, then iato na po namo sa English house. So tulo na mabay. At least nakakomprehend sila nga mao din ang pasabot.
How about tong mga Muslim po na mga kwan, ginakalagan dyan po ninyo o kwan pang instruct?
Yes po, sa Makaya lang dyan ako, ma'am. Pero usually, Binisaya, at least, mga kog help sa ilang classmate nga, kabalo mo kalagan, kabalo mo Bisaya. Magtinabangay rin dito sa classroom sa una nga, uy, unsay kalagan na ni kabasa ng kamangan na, kamangan.
She adds that when lessons are taught in the students' own language, they participate more effectively and feel more confident speaking up in class.
Active sila mo participate sa klase kay confident kaayo sila sa ilang answer nga tama. Kaya nga naman, imauman ang language nga ilang ginagamit. So kung baga dili na sila maulaw nga, ay, mali ba to ako mapangutanag isang sarili, no? So confident kaayo sila mga dili na sila maulaw makihalog dito.
Under the Matatag curriculum, regional languages are considered supplementary. But Ma'am Melanie says teachers shouldn't be prohibited from using the mother tongue. They are the ones who understand the realities their students face every day.
Karon nga curriculum Matatag, giwala na nila ang MTB. Pero kami as a teacher sa classroom, kami man ang nakabalog sa situation ng babag sa MTB. Pero dapat dili mi nila bawalan nga maggamit og MTB kay maura na yung makatabang na makasabot ang bata.
Kaya bisan magtuon silang language,
Yes,
kailangan yapon nilang
yes, kay mauman na ang ilang pinulungan sa balay. So at least katong mga language nila in stock na to sa ilang knowledge.
And on the claim that MTB Emily makes students dumb, here's what Ma'am Melanie has to say.
Unsa hindi ako nako natunan nga ay makabulok ni MTV uy kuan kay wa ang mga bata di nakabalo mo English dili man kay ngano makatuon man na sila kung imuhang tunan.
As education reforms continue to reshape the curriculum, multilingual classrooms are left to bridge the gap between national policy and local reality. In a country that speaks many languages, the challenge is no longer just what policy prescribes, but whether it truly reflects what happens inside the classroom.
In Davao region, music does more than entertain. It carries stories of language, culture, and identity. Today, chorales across Mindanao are redefining harmony, blending indigenous chants with modern melodies, and reminding us that every note can be a voice for heritage. To tell us more about how Mindanao's young voices are keeping musical tradition alive, here's 𝐤𝐴
From the mountains of Bukidnon to the halls of Davao's universities, voices rise in harmony, carrying the languages and rhythms of our heritage. But today's choirs aren't just performing, they're preserving. Across the Davao region's choral groups are blending traditional chants with modern melodies, turning every performance into an act of cultural pride. In today's choral scene, diversity is not an exception, it is the norm. Performances now move fluidly across Cebuano, Filipino, English, and indigenous languages, reflecting the multicultural reality of Mindanao itself. Today, universities and local institutions in Davao increasingly feature multilingual repertoires in competitions and cultural events, bringing Mindanao's musical identity to both local and international stages. Earlier this year, 𝐸𝐴 Harmonia Polyphonica Chorale was recognized for showcasing Mindanao music beyond the region. Their performances highlighted indigenous rhythms and ancestral languages, giving voice to the communities often unheard.
The Harmonia Polyphonica Chorale.
I make space for Mindanao music in our repertoire. Therefore, students and our audience have the chance to hear how beautiful Mindanao music is.
Compete with. And then with these pieces, since we are encouraged, because these pieces are most of the time, they are the competition pieces, we would practice them with our conductor to the best of our ability so that when the time comes in the competition, we will be able to show the people and the audience the music that us Filipinos can create through singing.
But behind every multilingual performance lies intention. For choral leaders, diversity in repertoires comes with responsibility, knowing when to innovate and when to preserve.
So actually, by performing those, nag-help namin na ma-preserve ang katong mga culture, mga tradition sa kanta. Kay murag gud siya kung murag for example sa museum na ay mga items dito na kanang na gina-preserve nila by putting those mga items sa museum. Pero sa amua, kay ang stage ang aming museum. Kami itong mga items, kami itong kung dito sa museum kinagatanaw mo, sa amua, gapaminaw mo.
In today's time, Mindanao music has already evolved into different influences mixed together. So it's not anymore really the authentic Mindanao music that it once was. In a way, it has accumulated some influence from, let's say, Western music or any other music. And my choral decisions, they have an impact into being performed as a USAP community because we make sure that we stick true to what's authentic.
Scholars note that this practice continues long legacy. As Salusan 2010 explains, Mindanao's musical hybridity has long been used to express identity and resistance, transforming sound into a vessel of heritage.
The Davao region, I have seen this effect not just in Davao, not just in the Philippines, but elsewhere in the world. It's different. No? If you hear a choir perform live, you get a better understanding about the work that goes into creating beautiful music. If you're a member of a choir, you learn more about humanity because choir is more about oneness and unity.
For singers, learning a piece is also learning a people. Music becomes a bridge, opening perspectives and deepening empathy.
So by joining a choir, by performing in a choir, you get to hear new music, you get to hear new music, old music, any other music apart from what you are used to. So this also adds knowledge, you know? Any additional knowledge doesn't hurt, no? So when you are introduced to new music, to new languages, it excites you, no? It also broadens your perspective into learning other cultures. You become more empathetic.
Sa cultures nila. So as I work with them, leading the group, it showed me nga marami being diverse, especially in for choral music. It helped us a lot to understand ways to sing and to interpret the pieces.
But with the rise of intercultural repertoire comes a critical question: cultural appreciation or cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation happens when elements of minority culture are used without understanding or respect, reducing deeply meaningful music into mere performance or gimmick.
We can't pronounce them the way we pronounce it because we can't just read the lyrics as is, since they are different languages. So we need to pronounce them as the way the composer intended. The composer intends for the musics and the lyrics to be pronounced. That way, there would be no so that we would not culture appropriate. We would not culture appropriate pieces, as we would want to respect the composer and the piece, as it is not our own, as we are only interpreting them.
Experts like Rollo Dilworth remind choirs, know the culture before you sing its music, because singing without understanding can unintentionally silence the very people it seeks to honor. This involves asking questions like who created this piece, what cultural significance does it have, and why it is important to that community.
When we are given these pieces, our conductor would do his research beforehand on the pieces, and the conductor, the composer of the piece. So he would learn it, and then he would show it to us. He would tell us what these lyrics mean, unsay meaning behind them, what the composer would would want to interpret, would want to express to their piece. And then we would first learn the intonations as well, of how the notes would be sung, how the lyrics are supposed to be pronounced.
Same gyapon sa katong last question kay ako man good, particularly kay nakoy mga dili ma-pronounce kaayo, like dili nako ma-execute og tarong kay murag nay problema ako sa akong vocabulary or sa ako pag-pronounce sa mga lyrics. So like, and also kanang naamo gyud ka na ginatudlo among conductor like unsaon ipag pronounce kining certain lyrics, like for example among pinaka-recent na ginakanta ron kay Christmas song siya, The First Noel. Pagka man pag i-pronounce mo tarong ang The First Noel kanang common na pag-pronounce ato kay The First Noel. Pero ginatulo sa mo kay the first Noah.
And in interpreting music, you must be fair. No, it must be fair. It must be true to what it is representing. No, so you cannot interpret a cultural work from Mindanao in a super Western technique. No, like bel canto, and then you're singing about kids, no? Mga wata sa lipan, kids playing in the river. You know, we competed in the folk category of the 𝐸𝐴𝐶𝐵 International Choral Competition, and two of those contest pieces required an interpretation of a Mindanaoan work, no, by a Mindanao composer, or a work in the Mindanao language. The first one we performed entitled Musikahan sa Tago, the festival itself, which was composed by Dr. Helen Tejera of Mindanao State University, IIT. You know? And then it had many languages sa ihang music. And I had to consult my friend, no, an acquaintance, Bernalyn Mambo, who was a runner-up in the Hiyas ng Kadayawan in previous editions, no? Bernalyn. No? So I had to ask her how the words should be accurately pronounced. No.
Sir, like IUY, ang letter E so ang letter E kay patiksalog. So, ang pagbasa sa E kay O. So, sa ako, ang O na is O.
So, example, the word ayuay in the introduction part of the music, Musikahan sa Tago, the contest piece, it's spelled AYOWEY, ayowe, but it should be pronounced ayuay, as instructed by Bernalyn. She's the daughter of the chieftain Atamanobo ng tribe. So by consulting these experts and tribes people, we get to perform the music better and accurate, no? And more accurately. That's what I meant, no? So dili siya pataka-pataka ang pag-pronounce. As a choral practitioner, it must be accurate. The decision must stem from an informed practice, no, of what the word sounds like, no, originally. So we can't just edit it. We can't just perform something for gimmicks.
These voices may differ in language, rhythm, and origin, but when they come together, they sing one message. Diversity is not division, but harmony.
They say, music is the universal language, but you get more understanding. You appreciate more the music that you hear if you know what the text is, no? If you know what the story behind the music that's being sung.
I believe na every piyesa kay na siya story na gina-tell. And mas better na makabalo ka ato na story na ginatal sa piyesa para ma-execute mo siya tarong.
Because choir is not only an artistic venture but also a social. It also has a social structure. Students learn more about being empathetic others, about connecting to another person, and they also learn to listen to others. No, because when you sing, it's not just your voice, but you have to blend. No, you have to adjust to the majority. And if everyone, has that mentality where they are considerate, and respectful of each other, and when you're ready to connect to others and you let them connect to you, then it's a better place.
When singers understand the story behind the piece, when they learn the language, the history, and the emotions woven into every note, the music changes. It stops being just a performance. It becomes a shared memory. And perhaps that is why choral music feels powerful. Because in every harmony, there is listening. In every blend, there is compromise. And in every song, there is a possibility of connection. In every harmony lies a history. In every lyric, a legacy. As long as choirs continue to sing our languages, Mindanao stories will never fall silent.
That's it for now. But don't you worry, we've still got more for you.
Stay tuned and we'll be right back after a short break. And don't go anywhere because 𝐡𝐚𝐭's taking over.
Mariel, ako si Ate Kim. Handa ka na bang mawaw? Today, we're going on a fast, fun, and eye-opening trivia trip about the indigenous tribes of Mindanao. Get ready because these are stories worth knowing. First up, the Sabanan, the river people. Their name literally comes from Saba, meaning river, plus a suffix meaning the people of. And fun fact, their name has many spellings: Sabanan, Subanan, Subanan, Subanan. But they all point to one proud group, living along the rivers of the Zamboanga Peninsula. The Sabanan are masters of both rice and dryland farming, raising corn, root crops, and bananas. Their communities follow a leader called the 𝐡𝐚𝐭, who guides both daily life and spiritual matters. Their homes, often lifted on stilts, built smart, built strong. But here's the coolest part, the buklog, a massive thanksgiving ritual held on a flexible wooden platform. Everyone dances together as the structure moves. It's not just a dance, it's a spiritual celebration recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage. Wow! And according to Sabanan oral tradition, the buklog can only begin after a dream gives approval. They even say the first buklog started when Jobrael, a half-spirit, half-human, lifted a sacred kettle and the earth trembled. That shaking, that became the heartbeat of the ritual we see today. So, the buklog is more than movement. It's a living bridge between people and spirits, a tradition full of history, heart, and harmony. Next, meet the Blaan. The Blaan are famous for their deep knowledge of forest plants, especially medicinal ones. Studies show that in communities around Mount Matutum alone, the Blaan still use more than 100 traditional medicinal plants. Here are a few examples. Tuwal ulad for snake bites and fevers. Kapang gasul, used as a poultice for wands. Bagaw, boiled for stomach issues. These plants are carefully gathered, prepared, and applied. Knowledge passed quietly from elders to younger generations. And for the Blaan, the forest is not just a place to live. It's a healer, a guide, and a sacred partner in daily life. In their culture, every tree, every herb, every root has a purpose. The forest is their pharmacy and their history book. So there you have it, a quick but powerful peek into some of the tribes in Mindanao. Remember, every path, every hill, and every river in Mindanao holds a lesson. All we have to do is look closer, listen deeper, and keep learning. Ako si Ate Kim, og sama sa akong ginaingon, ang kaalam kung iambit, mahimong gapom. Duyog ta!
Across Mindanao, hundreds of indigenous languages echo stories of identity and belonging. But some of these voices are fading quietly and almost unnoticed. One of them is the 𝐴𝐶𝐻 language of Samal Island, once spoken by an entire community, now heard only among the elders. Today, we look closer to the story, the history, the struggle to keep the language alive, and what losing it could mean for future generations. We have Shane Arcipe, who will share this story to us to take a closer look at the status of the language.
On the serene shores of the vibrant barangay of Balet, one of the barangays in the Bac district, a unique voice is slowly fading. The Samal language, locally known as 𝐴𝐶𝐻, is being spoken less and less, especially among the younger generations.
In the heart of Samal Island, there lives a people with a language older than memory. But today, even they admit,
ako mga anak na ay dili kapalong istorya pero makasagot sila. Siguran kasagaran mga hamtong na pero mga kuan dili na kay ng kabatan imo. Bumili na lang sa dili sa kanang galing ganang tradition katulog ko sila kasi sila conversation. Diba usually pag Bisaya mo ginagamit Bisaya na din mo ating Bisaya.
Kuan na dili na kayo sila magsulti o kuan sinama bisan pag kailan panimalay Bisaya gyud sila
Bisaya
sa kalibil na mo magkita mi sinama mi pero sa mga bagong tubo ron wala na.
Today, we visited a barangay in Samal where the Sama still live in close-knit communities. Here, the remaining Sama elders hold on to their language, but they are worried about what's ahead.
Aduna may kabaguhan sa una kalamadan ko. Maulo naman ang mga kabataan o mo sinama. Mo gamit sa amang pinagawa. Tungod dahil kung ano gud sila murag kumbaga i-bowling then basta magsama ka yung mga na naasya ko lang mutan pa na ay word lang kanang kumbaga na different ba kung sama ka murag i-bowling ka discrimination yan yung word discriminate ka kuan yun mag-uul pag-uul ka tagalog murag ganang mahimo na lang memorize ang tama wala na if dili na siya magapan kung naghinapalingkamutan doon na mabalik siya.
Ano sa mga pausaban ng imong nabantayan paglabay sa mga tubig-ahin sa paggamit sa lingwahe sa inyong kultura?
Hindi po jud kay ang sa una sinama jud kasagaran. Karon ako na bagong tubo paana sagaran. Napoy ka nang sa gamit nila sa ilahang balay kung magsinama sila madala jud. Pero kung naa sila diri sa kung unsa ilang kauban no pwede ilang sir jud sagaran dali dito ko nila ba ya, sa eskwelahan mo ko tagawas na ulang hapon madala
Palinsan na mo kaay madunggan nagagamit sila sa makten.
naman po diri kasagaran mga hamtong na pero mga kuan dili na kay ng kabatan imo.
Ako kabali ba babaw sila musulti or musagot tama.
Kabalo.
Makabalo sila mga istorya pero dili gyud tanan nga akong papa pure Samal.
In a multilingual and multicultural Mindanao, where Bisaya, Tagalog, and English are widely used, the voice of the Sama is slowly fading.
Maski pag dili ka mong storya sa school, kung sa balay, gina storya sa mama, dili dyan na mawala sa imo. Diba? Kaya sa balay man dyan mo sag, magaling mga baby English sa balay.
Dagan din sa factors.
So sa balay, good job. Kaya maski pag ang teacher dili dari, pero kung nari silang balay, no ba storya. Siyempre, mag-storya sila silang classmate, sama do. Kaya ang teacher, dito raman siya sa, siyempre sa corner of table. Murag mo na aking nakita ng lapak. So,
In schools, Bisaya, Tagalog, and English are the languages of learning and conversation. English dominates the media, and for many young Sama, their mother tongue is no longer their first language.
Hello, ako din si Carlo Maniquez. Dali ko nakapuyo sa ballet, Purok 3. Tapos, I'm 15 years old. Og sama.
Hello, ako dahil si Bia Berisraes, taga Barangay Ballet, Purok 1-T. Sama sa... Ako dahil si Prince Graham Medrano, nakapuyok sa Purok 5, Danao, Ballet. Ganun yun, sa kung sa istorya ni sa Samang doon.
Pero kanang mode of instruction dito sa school, wala. Kaya gano'n lang. Tagalog.
Saya ba, English.
Istorya mo sa friend na kanang nakagina-share sa iyaha,
Bisaya yun.
Bisaya.
Kaya mong may ko pa din mo kasabot.
Wala na nilagay na tuluan ng ilang anak, makabot sa balay kan sa eskwelahan, magsugo sa ilang anak, di na sinama, binisaya na. So, para sa ako, di na ako ma-blame po ng bagong mga generasyon kaya wala may guidelines sa makita lang yatag sila.
Many Sama youth are hesitant to speak their language, not because they are ashamed of being indigenous, but because they fear being laughed out by others.
Komportable ba ka kamo musulti nga sama ka? Komportable ba ka? Kanang confident ba ka mo amin nga apin ka sa sama try?
Anong tayo? Agad si. Mo diyan naman siya ginagawa. Mo naman siya among tawag na. Culture like an
Ikaw? Agree. Ikaw daw, komportable na ka? Naka-experience ba mo na ka-feel o kanang kaulaw or maybe kanang mahadlo ka mo sulti sa inyong lubad nga pinulungan tayo? Mahadlo ka nakatauan? Mahadlo ka nga i-discriminate?
Nasa tili ka nang malinig sila nga. Isa din
Ay, ito na.
Kanang like, sa akin, comfortable na doon kayo. Storya kami lang doon like, na yung mga abot nga mga nili sama ko, like, kinakatawan ni. Ano sa daw mo ginagamit mo?
How do you feel? Nakatauan mo.
Wala lang, sarayan mo ganyan.
Ikaw, pilaan mo.
Ang punti kayo, masad ko, tapos, ano na po. Like, nganong mo sa among tribo nga, mauna man din na among
Several factors contribute to this shift. In school, there is no subject that teaches Sama. Most teachers and students use Bisaya. At home, parents focus on languages that will help them succeed.
Sa inyong tanaw, nakatabang ba or nakakontribute ba ang sistema sa eskwelahan sa pagkawala o sa samak na language?
to enhance. Or negative.
Nagkahinahinay siya ang tawag. Diba majority sa school is ginagamit yung standard na English, Tagalog, Bisaya, so wala
Siyempre, globalization, dili na to sa mong system na siyempre, gina-prepare man nato itong estudyante for globalization. So, gina-enhance kanilang English speaking skills. Pero at the same time, mga ganin natin, dili lang kung sa mo ko. Dili mo good siya sa school lang.
Yes.
Kaya sa balay. Yes. Maski pag dili ka mong storya sa school, kung sa balay, din na storya sa mama, dili dyan na mawalat sa iyo. Diba? Kaya sa balay, medyo mo magaling mga baby English sa balay.
Kailan din without factors.
So, sa balay with crime. Maski pag ang teacher, dili dari, pero kunwari, silang balay, dito istorya. Siyempre, mag-storya silang classmate, sama, joke. Kaya ang teacher, dito raman siya sa, siyempre, sa formal education ninyo. Murag mo na aking nakita ng lapak. So,
sa pagkakaroon, ay tabugit nga na yun. Dili na nila ang kultura na mo, murag wala na nila gi-adapt. So, ang problema mang siya tungod sa ginikanan nila, bisan mga sama tribe sila, wala na nila Wala na nilagay na tuluan ng ilang anak makabot sa balay gikan sa eskwelahan. Magsugo sa ilang anak, di na sinama, binisaya na. So, para sa ako, di na ako ma-blame po ng bagong mga generasyon kaya wala may guidelines sa mga kita lang gihatag sila. Kulti, binisaya, bisag mga tama try.
Despite the decline, there are ongoing efforts, though small, to revive and protect the Sama language in Saman.
Ina-encourage ko na mga itanong sa pagbalik nila, nabalik din sila sa pagkakasyon sa sila. Then nagapuan po niya na karong gadi na sa school, may diploma sinama. So ginakunto na sila. Ay, more confident, more idundot yung sarili mo ba? Kanang masinsilan dyan yung pag-encourage sa mga batanon. Pero sa pagkakaroon, di naman ako na nagpagalit na. Naginahinay na siya. Doon di patinaan na kanang pag-grow. Pero naginahinay siya balik na sa pagkakaroon.
According to the Bia, or the female leader of Sama in their community, one of their ways of preserving their culture and their tradition is to implement programs and initiatives such as the celebration of IP Day. During this celebration, they participate in performing their traditional dance, their traditional games such as the kadang-kadang and a traditional ball game called Lanjal Kama. Another way of promoting their culture is through creating mats or banig.
Nagdadala sa basket para dili siya ka-shoot. So, pero ang kangadula ka na kung ano mang goals yun ang pang malakasay pa. Kahit kung wagad, akong magiging.
In schools, Indigenous Peoples Day is observed, encouraging Sama students to participate and showcase their culture.
I think school, taga-interpret yun eh.
But are there any activities or programs specific only for indigenous students, like sa celebration of IP Day ata?
IP Day, every October nila. So kami nagkandak mi patungan lang mga food, katong pagbuto, mga balay, so mag-establish of mga hindi magsuot gina sila tanan IP games, so din ang pilan. So ang mga IP games mo last time mga turn, pero kanang mga so kung pataas sa school, mga pilat tarik silang yan yung mga kwantaris na mga kadang-kadang kung kanina ba yan? Yes. Yan actually sa dedition of Island Garden Seed of Saman, kita lang ako sa activities nila ba. Nag-craft na din sila dictionary. Actually naalang din sila kanang dili na nag-try sama, pero tungod kay kanang online or kanang align siya sa UCSP, kung siya minang monitor ko ba. So sa una, nasa li gamay kaayo na, pero di siya standardized, wala siya pangayon. Pero karon jud bago lang recently, nagit sila yung gina-craft. Mo gina-unheard sa provision na maka-publish o sa so, na-schoolad info.
Artemio Fernandez, one of the Sama male elders, emphasizes the role of parents in nurturing the language at home.
Mal na ko, medyo ibati ko kabalaka ba kay basiyo niya sa dagan sa panahon mawala ang among sariling sinulpian na mo, tinulungan na mo bilang Sama tribe. Malaka ko Malaka ko. Gani, katong mga ginikanan nga ako may istorya basta Sama gin-advise na ko sila bilang council of elders ko nga pagabot sa mga bata niyo balay gikan sa eskwelahan dili kay binisiyatan istorya niyo gamit ang sarili na itong silkian para makalearn makatuon po sila kung gin-advise ako sila.
So, kung sa man imong mensahe tay o imong mga pahimangno sa mga kabatan-unan karon nga miyembro sa IP, unsa mong matambag sa ilaha?
So sa mga batan-on karon nga mga ulahin tubo sa Sama tribe, naot ko ba nga kanang dili lang mga unsa nga curriculum sa eskwelahan ninyong tunaan sa unsa nga subject ug college mo unsa nga kurso ninyo kuha, so okay raman na. Pero ang advice na ko sa inyo, ay inyo kalimti ang sarili nato nga sinultian. Kuan ninyo, remember ninyo itong panultion ni Proverbs ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Ang taong hindi marunong lumingon sa sarili ni ay malansa pa, parang malansa pa sa isda. Katulang kamo mga batanon. Remember mismo si Dr. Jose Rizal na nag-advise kung sa tribo nato datong sulti hindi nato nakalimutan. Kay lisod man kayo na
IP students we interviewed also encouraged their fellow Sama students not to be ashamed of their identity and to take pride in their culture.
So, base sa inyo ang mga gipag-istorya kaganina, and isip usa ka isip mga batan-on nga miyembro ani nga komunidad sa Sama nga tribo, unsa inyong mensahe o inyong mga maingon sa inyong mga kapwa kabatan-onan?
Sa ang kapwa ng kabatan-onan, like dapat ipagmalaki nila ang sa mga language kay mo na diri aman may gipanganak, dapat mao po na siya mong gamiton nga ng
Bili po na to ikaw daw kay dira man ta nagikan.
okay, diri man tagibutang ato mo
Para ka. Sige, thank you kayo sa inyong mga sa inyong mga gipang-share sa pagtubag sa aming mga pangutana. I hope na mahimo pong maayo ng mga ehemplo alang sa mga kapatunan ng member po sa tribo nga Sama aron nga magpreserba pa ang kultura.
A language lost is a culture erased, but there is still time. Time to teach, to learn, to speak, and be proud.
Unsa nga mga mensahe ang gusto nimo nga ipahimangno kung ipaabot sa mga batanong Sama dahil sa ilang lingwa ug kultura?
Ang ako lang ipahimangno para sa ilang dapat dili jud sila maugdamo. Ibalik nila ang kanang mapamutan na sila sa mga ilang mga apuhan sa ilang mga ginitan para naa sila kanang dili siya mawala, ma-preserve gihapon ng pinulungan sa Sama. Then ang mga sa Sama.
As Mindanao continues to celebrate its diverse languages and cultures, the voice of the Sama people must not be left behind. The fight is not just about preserving the Isama language, but it is a call to action and a reminder for the people in Barangay Balet to strive for their identity, preserve their culture, and continue to speak the language of their ancestors.
What a beautiful reminder that no matter how diverse we are, our stories, just like our languages and culture, all speak of the same thing: pride in who we are as Mindanaoans.
From the many communities who keep our culture alive, each one adds a voice to Mindanao's colorful story.
Truly, it's our differences that makes us stronger, and our unity that keeps our story alive.
And as we have seen today, Mindanao isn't just a place of many languages and traditions. It is a home where every story deserves to be heard. I am Nova Fuentes.
And I'm Chris Donato, bringing you stories that celebrate the many voices and cultures of Mindanao. This is Duyog, kung asa tanang tingog, madungog.